Imagine waking up one morning in 2026 and realizing the door quietly closed while you were busy with everything else. Not slammed shut, not announced on the news, just closed. And on the other side of that door were people who prepared early, who owned real assets, who understood one simple truth before the crowd did. Silver doesn't disappear overnight. It disappears slowly, then suddenly. And the question isn't how much money you have. The real question is, how many ounces of silver will you own before it's too late? I want to tell you a short story. A few years ago, during a period of economic stress, I met a man who didn't look wealthy. No flashy car, no luxury watch, calm voice, clear eyes. When markets crashed and fear spread, he wasn't panicking. He was accumulating. Not stocks he didn't understand. Not promises on paper. He was buying silver, ounce by ounce, month by month. He told me something that stayed with me forever. I'm not trying to get rich fast. I'm trying to become unbreakable. That mindset changed his life. And it can change yours too. Silver is not just a metal. It's discipline in physical form. It teaches patience in a world addicted to speed. While most people chase trends, smart investors quietly stack value. Think about history. Every major financial reset rewarded those who held real assets. Not opinions, not digital numbers, real, tangible wealth. Silver has been money for thousands of years, and now it's also an industrial necessity. Green energy, solar panels, electric vehicles, technology. You cannot replace silver easily. Scarcity plus necessity creates opportunity. That's not hype. That's reality. Here's the first truth most people ignore. Wealth is built before it's obvious. By the time silver is on every headline, by the time your taxi driver and barber are talking about it, the easy gains are already gone. Smart people act when it feels boring, when it feels uncomfortable, when nobody is clapping yet. A young entrepreneur I know started buying silver with just a small portion of his income. 10 ounces here, 5 ounces there. Friends laughed. They said it was old-fashioned. Years later, when inflation ate their savings, his purchasing power was still standing. He didn't get lucky. He got prepared. Let me ask you something important. How much peace is your money buying you right now? Because real wealth isn't just numbers. It's sleep. It's confidence. It's knowing that if systems shake, you're not starting from zero. Silver gives you that psychological edge. When markets swing wildly and fear dominates, you don't panic because you're holding something real, something outside the system, something you can touch. Here's a simple metaphor. Most people build their financial house on sand, debt, speculation, short-term thinking. Silver is part of the foundation. It doesn't need to skyrocket tomorrow to be powerful. Its strength is in protection first, growth second. Another investor I studied didn't try to time the market. He created a habit. Every month before spending on luxuries, he bought silver, automatically, emotionlessly. Over time, that habit did more for his net worth than any single big trade ever could. Now here's where mindset shifts everything. Stop asking, how much silver should I buy to get rich? Start asking, how much silver do I need to protect my future? That's the wrong question turned right. Some people aim for 100 ounces, others 500. Some aim for enough to cover years of expenses. The number matters less than the commitment. What matters is consistency, ownership, long-term thinking. Silver rewards those who respect time. If you're waiting for perfect conditions, you'll wait forever. Smart action beats perfect timing. Start small if you must. 1 ounce is better than 0. Build a rule for yourself. Every dip is an opportunity, not a reason to freeze. Think in decades, not weeks. The people who win aren't the ones who predict every move. They're the ones who stay in the game long enough. Picture your future self looking back at this moment. Will you say, I knew, but I waited, or I acted while others hesitated? Financial freedom isn't a single decision. It's a series of quiet, disciplined choices. Silver is one of those choices. Not because it's exciting, but because it's enduring. So here's your action shift. Decide today that you are a builder, not a gambler. Create a silver accumulation habit. Educate yourself. Think long term. Protect first, then grow. And most importantly, act before the crowd demands it. Because when everyone agrees, the opportunity has already changed. Silver is not a shortcut to instant wealth. And that is exactly why it works. In a world obsessed with speed, silver rewards patience, discipline, and long-term thinking. Most people want excitement in their investments. Something that moves fast, something they can brag about, something that gives them a rush. Silver does the opposite. It asks you to slow down, to think beyond the next paycheck, beyond the next headline, beyond the next market cycle. And that is why it quietly builds financial security while others are distracted. Every generation that preserved wealth understood this principle. They didn't rely on promises, digital numbers, or systems they couldn't control. They held real assets. Silver has survived empires, currency collapses, wars, and resets, not because it was trendy, but because it was trusted. When you hold silver, you are stepping into that lineage of long-term thinkers. You are choosing stability over speculation, preparation over panic, intention over impulse. Think about how fragile modern wealth has become. A screen goes dark, a policy changes, an institution freezes withdrawals, and suddenly years of effort feel uncertain. Silver exists outside that fragility. It doesn't need permission to exist. It doesn't require belief to hold value. Its worth is not created by confidence alone, but by scarcity, utility, and history. That is why it functions as a financial anchor rather than a lottery ticket. People who truly build wealth rarely announce their moves. They accumulate quietly. A business owner setting aside a portion of profit every month. A worker converting overtime into ounces instead of temporary comfort. A family passing down silver as preserved purchasing power, not as speculation. These are not dramatic stories, but they are powerful ones. They show how silver turns discipline into durability. Silver also reshapes your mindset. When you stop chasing quick gains, you stop making emotional decisions. You stop reacting to noise. You begin to think in cycles, not spikes. You measure progress by ownership, not price. That shift alone separates long-term builders from short-term chasers. The calm that comes from holding something real changes how you approach money, work, and even life decisions. Another overlooked truth is that silver protects effort. It stores the energy of your labor. Hours worked, risks taken, sacrifices made. Silver preserves them. Inflation erodes cash silently, year after year, but silver resists that erosion over time. It doesn't promise perfection, but it offers resilience. And resilience is what carries people through uncertain decades. When someone asks how much silver is enough, the deeper question is how much stability you want in your future. Silver is not meant to replace ambition. It supports it. It gives you a base so that when opportunities arise, you're not forced to sell yourself short. You are not desperate. You are positioned. The greatest advantage of silver is not its price potential, but the behavior it encourages. Regular accumulation, long-term vision, emotional control, respect for time. These traits compound far beyond metal. They shape how wealth is built, protected, and sustained across years that most people never prepare for. Wealth rarely arrives through one dramatic moment. It is built through small, repeated actions that feel insignificant at the time, but become powerful when stacked together. Quiet consistency is the difference between people who chase money and people who keep it. Silver fits perfectly into this philosophy because it rewards those who show up regularly, not those who try to be clever for a moment. Most people think in weeks or months. Builders think in decades. When you buy silver with a long horizon, daily price movement loses its power over you. You stop reacting emotionally. You stop checking charts every hour. Instead, you focus on accumulation. Ownership becomes the goal, not short-term validation. This is how real wealth habits are formed. There are investors who began with no large capital at all, just a decision. Every month, before entertainment, before impulse spending, they converted a portion of income into silver. Sometimes it was 1 ounce, sometimes 5. During good times and bad, they kept the habit alive. Over the years, those ounces represented discipline stored in physical form. And while others spent first and saved what was left, they saved first and built stability quietly. Consistency also protects you from timing mistakes. No one rings a bell at the top or bottom of a market. Waiting for the perfect entry often results in never entering at all. Regular accumulation spreads risk across time. It removes ego from the equation. You are no longer trying to outsmart the market. You are letting time work on your behalf. Thinking in decades changes how you view volatility. Short-term drops no longer feel like threats, but like discounts. Fear turns into patience. Instead of asking why the price is down, you ask whether your long-term thesis has changed. For silver, the fundamentals remain clear. Limited supply, growing industrial demand, and a long history as money. These forces do not disappear because of temporary price movement. Choosing real assets over paper promises is another pillar of lasting wealth. Paper assets rely on trust in systems, institutions, and stability. Silver relies on physics, scarcity, and utility. It doesn't depend on narratives to exist. It doesn't need optimism to remain valuable. It simply is. That simplicity is its strength. Many people only realize the value of real assets after a shock. Inflation, currency devaluation, or market freezes force them to reconsider what they thought was safe. Those who already built positions in silver don't scramble. They observe, they hold. Their wealth may fluctuate in price, but its essence remains intact. Quiet consistency is not exciting, and that is why it works. It doesn't attract attention or applause, but over time it creates a gap between those who planned and those who reacted. Silver becomes a mirror of your discipline. Each ounce represents a decision to delay gratification in favor of long-term freedom. The greatest returns often come not from extraordinary insight, but from ordinary actions, repeated faithfully. When you align silver accumulation with a long-term mindset, you stop relying on luck. You build something durable, something that can withstand cycles, policies, and uncertainty, while most people are still searching for the next shortcut. Waiting feels safe, but it is often the most expensive decision you can make. Most people don't miss opportunities because they lack intelligence. They miss them because they hesitate. They want confirmation. They want guarantees. They want everyone else to agree first. By the time that happens, the window is already narrowed. Silver rewards those who act before certainty, not after consensus. History repeats this lesson again and again. Before every major shift, there is a quiet phase where only a few are paying attention. During that phase, prices may seem stagnant, interest is low, and conviction is tested. This is where positioning happens. The people who understand value step forward while others remain on the sidelines. When conditions finally change, it appears sudden to the majority, but it was never sudden to those who prepared early. The true risk is not owning silver too early. The true risk is realizing too late that your savings lost purchasing power while you were waiting for a perfect signal. Inflation does not announce itself loudly at first. It erodes slowly, silently, year after year. What looks stable on paper often becomes weaker in reality. Silver acts as a counterweight to that erosion, preserving value across time rather than promising quick growth. Peace of mind is an undervalued return. When you hold silver, you carry a sense of independence. You know that part of your wealth exists beyond digital systems, policies, and institutions. That awareness changes how you react to uncertainty. You are less emotional, less reactive, less fearful. That mental stability is itself a form of wealth. Many people who acted early did not have perfect information. They had clarity of principle. They understood that real assets matter, that scarcity matters, and that systems change. A small business owner converting profits into silver instead of leaving everything in cash. A family protecting generational purchasing power instead of chasing speculative returns. These choices were not dramatic, but they were decisive. Early action also compounds options. When you own silver before demand accelerates, you are not forced to buy at higher prices later. You're not rushing to catch up. You have flexibility. You can hold, trade, or leverage opportunity calmly. Late action is always reactive. Early action is intentional. There's also a personal transformation that comes from acting before the crowd. You stop outsourcing your decisions to headlines and opinions. You develop conviction. You trust your understanding of value rather than waiting for validation. That confidence carries into other areas of life: business, career, and personal growth. Silver ownership becomes a symbol of self-reliance. It represents a willingness to prepare rather than hope, to build rather than gamble. Each ounce reflects a moment where you chose foresight over comfort. Over time, those moments stack into a position of strength. The world does not reward those who hesitate indefinitely. It rewards those who recognize asymmetry and move while others debate. Silver is not about fear of collapse. It is about readiness for change. Those who act early gain not just metal, but purchasing power, optionality, and the quiet confidence that comes from knowing they did not wait for permission to secure their future. If this message resonated with you, if it sparked something deeper than just money, hit like so more people can hear this truth. Subscribe if you want calm, real conversations about wealth and freedom. Share this with someone who's still on the fence. And remember this: the future doesn't reward noise, it rewards preparation. Silver isn't about fear, it's about foresight.